Welcome back to If I Knew You Better. Finally, I'm Brendan Davis, and this is my show. You know that if you clicked and saw my big fat head on that picture. We have been on hiatus for a couple of good months now for various reasons. I was traveling, and I had these great plans. When I went to LA, went back to the West Coast and thereabouts for some business stuff, and I had this plan. I've got all these friends I'm going to catch up with in LA, and I'm going to interview all these interesting people who are doing cool things, and none of them had time for me. And I had no time to go chase them down. That was the thing. If I could have gotten in the car and driven to, say, Calabasas, that would have worked. I didn't have time to go to Calabasas, no offense. But what I do have time to do, fortunately now, is kicking off in the new year, and I'll get into why that's possible. But we're kicking it off my favorite way with my buddy Kevin Geiger. We're doing a little Fretful Laowai.
Yeah, thank you, Brendan, for inviting me back. Good to be back.
Good to have you, man. And this is our little gem. If you're new to the show or you're just discovering this, Kevin and I started this. I interviewed him on my first podcast, Big Fish in the Middle Kingdom. Those archives are still up, although the show is retired. But
you just couldn't get enough of me, right?
We started, couldn't get enough. We started doing these, just check in like about once a month or so, depending on schedule. And we joked in the first one that we sound like a couple of fretful Laowai because we were kind of we were going through our sorrows list or whatever, our crying towel.
The trials and tribulations of living and making your way in China.
Completely.
As a foreigner.
Completely. And so we just decided, this is the Fretful Laowai Radio Hour. So it's probably the Fretful Laowai 45 minutes or so because we have a busy day here today. But I'm planning to put this out the day that we're recording it, which is what days? What's today?
It's the 31st. So we're ringing out the old and ringing in the new on the Fretful Laowai Radio Hour.
Yeah, man. So, Kevin.
Yes.
Start with a small question.
Okay.
How was your 2019, personally and professionally, in whatever order? Because it all intersects for us. So take that as you will.
That's the small question.
We'll build up to the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll build up to the big ones.
Got it.
I
can't wait to see what the big one is.
It's actually the macro question.
Okay. How was my 2019? Wow. It was, I think, probably many people can relate to this. I'm sure you can as well. It was a mixed bag.
Well, I can.
Yeah. A very mixed bag. On a personal level, it was fantastic. So as you know, and as people who do listen to this show know, with my family, my wife, my two kids, that's all been going wonderfully. My daughters, Claire, who's now 4.5, and Emma, who's almost 2, and she's just now she's adorable, but she's hitting those terrible 2s, but in a good way, right? In an all good way.
Okay.
It's been wonderful to see them growing and really developing their personalities this past year.
Yeah.
Getting more involved in activities, both of them, Emma on the preschool level and Claire on the school level, and making friends and just really developing their lives. And the way that I work, which is this kind of herky-jerky freelance independent content thing, has allowed me to be there for them, day to day, taking them to school, being there for their events, and watching and really absorbing that directly in a way that I probably couldn't if I had a job that was more demanding of my time. So on that level, personally, that's been great. And it's been wonderful for my wife, Wen, and I to, see that and help grow that together. Professionally, it's
that could be the last question if we want.
Exactly.
It's a good first question.
No, it's okay.
Get right to it.
I can just give a little top line on this. In 2018, it was almost the flip. Personally, Emma was just born, and
Claire was just born. Oh no, you're
Emma,
right.
Emma was
sorry.
Just
your
Claire,
kids.
Claire, I know my kids.
I'm trying to help, and I got to turn around. I know your kids. They're great.
Right. Emma was born. And that really knocked us on our head. It was an unexpected pregnancy, and it's wonderful to have her. She's great. But we had just achieved a new balance with Claire.
Yeah,
right?
she was kind of stable in
Claire was stable,
in her
and she was in
operations day to day.
And like we were just and then wham, new baby. It's like, oh man. So the work-life balance that we had achieved, like going into 2018, got blown apart.
Right out that window.
Right, in 2018. However, and again, that wasn't a personal negative, but it was just a new balance had to be established. But professionally, ironically, things were going very well. So the freelance projects that I was working on, the independent projects, were gaining traction. And I was making money on things, and I almost met my nuts. So like my annual expenses for the year, I got about 75% of the way there, which may sound horrible to people, like, what, you were 25% short? But it was better than the previous year, which was like only 30% of my nut was made. So like, hey, this is pretty good, going from 30 to 75. And then next year, 2019, I'm going to break even at least. And it wasn't just wishful thinking, but I had projects lined up. I had people coming to me with offers of things that I could see. If this all works out, this will be,
this will make up some of that deficit.
Exactly. And also and everything fell through. Long story short. Some things, because I walked away from them. We've spoken before about, sometimes people will say any deal is better than no deal, but a bad deal, no deal is better than a bad
deal.
No
one to hold them, no one to fold them, in the immortal words of Kenny Rogers.
So there were some things I walked away from, either because contractually it just didn't make sense, and like and I mean that in the way that if everything went well, it'd be fine. But like when you looked at if things didn't go well, contractually it was going to be a big problem. And this is
there's some of those sneaky clauses, especially here, which let's not go down the rabbit hole, but we've talked about it a bit before. But sometimes there's a thing where, here's the terms, and if it doesn't work out, we're not paying you, or you have to pay us back. I was like, why? I did all the thing, and
stuff
it's not
like
in your favor, basically.
And then also, like there was an acquisition offer, which sounds great, and the money actually was reasonable. I was like, okay. But there were red flags in terms of what they wanted to do with the IP, with the content that we were selling, whether or not that project would actually get made. Right. So it was like, you know what, we walked away from that. And there were some other things that walked away from us. So long story short, we fell way, way short of our nut this past year. It's okay. I mean, these things happen. When you're working independently, you have your ebb and your flow. Yeah. So 2019 was a big ebb for the professional, but there's a lot of flow for the personal.
Yeah, and luckily you worked at Disney for all that time, and you've had success on your own. So luckily, you had some savings, but you had to hit it hard.
Yeah, we had to hit it harder this year than I thought we'd have to. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, it's been and Kevin is involved in some of my business. We're working. He's an exec producer on this movie that I've been developing now for a long time, and so we're involved in that together, and that's all trending really great. But, as Kevin knows, we had it financed, and then the people, couldn't deliver for a lot of interesting geopolitical reasons having to do with our not favorite president in the U.S., putting them under sanctions because it's oil business people. And so anyway, we've had to regroup, and it's, looking good. Don't want to jinx ourselves. But it's been like this crazy year, and, in terms of other business stuff, I've had some good in that I figured out how this TV pilot I've been working on forever. That's this thing I really, really want to do, myself. And that I'd say I have clarity with that. I've reached total clarity what I'm doing, and I've been working on that, chipping away. And so that's great. And so there's this movie, and then we have a follow-on project that's pretty encouraging and a really cool project. If we can get that one, if we can get this done, then the next one, the release of it for 2022, I won't say too much, but it's an important milestone date in the world about that one. And so if that comes together, that'll be really cool. And then I have a few other people, one of my New Zealand partners and I, even just the other day, we had a great reset, catch up. And so 2 projects I've been on and off of are back on track with my buddy Andy.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I can say this here, there's an award-winning Persian filmmaker named Babak Payami. He had 2 movies out with studios, I think Sony and Paramount, I believe, released his first 2. But I've officially joined his current project, The Bishop's Man, as an executive producer. Cool. And that's based on an award-winning novel. And so we're just starting to collaborate about, how I'm involved and how we put it together. But that's really cool. So very excited about that project as well.
You also, not to interrupt, but you also just got an award recently as a foreign expert here in China.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's actually right here underneath that tissue paper.
Oh, yes, I see it there.
Yeah, that's right, actually. I was really honored I received a Distinguished Special Foreign Expert Award. It's an appointment to the Beijing branch of this global talent exchange organization that China maintains these in different places, and it's to recognize, I used to joke about, oh, you're a fancy foreigner. Like if you have this kind of thing, I guess I'm technically a fancy foreigner now because I have the nice document here and the.
Well, I mean, I've been there, and it's a good thing, and it's good to see that it's still going on. In the midst of the tensions between the U.S. and China, that there are still people who are open-minded enough to see the value of this kind of exchange culturally and professionally. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's really nice. I mean, my business visa is up 2025, but hopefully this will come in. And my appointment for this runs to 2024. It's actually. They considered it starting in 2019, although I got the award like mid-December, retroactively for this last year. But it's basically like I don't really have the official responsibilities, but I'm available as somebody to advise.
That's right.
If there's something in my wheelhouse,
you have the credentials.
Yeah, they'll reach out, and maybe somebody they're trying to help incubate, like a Chinese company or person doing a thing, and if I could help, then they asked me to be involved. So that's kind of cool.
And it's I wanted to mention something here at a macro level on the professional side before you share some of the personal things you wanted to talk about. It's been, I guess, interesting is a word for it, but the things that are going on geopolitically, you mentioned some of the things that are affecting the projects we're working on, and the fact that the trade war between China and the U.S. And also the culture war that I think is forming between China and the U.S. in some respects is something that has trickled down to little old you and me, right? In the form of difficulties transferring money on a project, or just, in my case, a company that is a little bit gun shy about hiring a foreigner, even as a consultant now. There are plenty of foreigners working as consultants, but they're a little concerned either about the look and feel of like having a foreigner as an advisor when people are trying to have content more from China, by Chinese, for Chinese, or just logistically thinking, he'll probably be too expensive, so forget it. And then when they check in, realizing, oh, you are too expensive.
Exactly. I had one of those kind of recently. I won't get into the details, but I had one of those where they're, we love this. I'm like, what's your rate? And I told them, they're like, And
you're like, and that's my discount.
Right. It's like, that's my friend rate. What are you doing? That's my Pengyo rate. What are you?
So.
Yeah, but
back, just to segue hard, not really segue, but just to rip this back to the personal. Yeah, I shared stuff about my family, and you've had a lot going on and a lot going off.
Yeah, recently. Very excited about this. Well, this is the year. This 2020 for me is fatty no more. That's my mantra, because I couldn't believe it, and I won't get into the super long story for the sake of time and all these things we want to talk about. But the gist of it is, I just gotten lazy. I gotten lazy and sloppy, and my closet full of shirts that used to have some nice wheel room. Like I wear the specific cut of for my dress shirts, like this Brooks Brothers shirt, and they used to fit comfortably. And although fairly snug, and then I got to where they were just like they looked like a sausage skin, and so the keto diet. Which, yes, it's not a fad diet. It's become a popular fad in a way. 20 odd years ago, when I was a bodybuilder, there's actually a bodybuilder diet that was it was a type of ketogenic diet. It's way harder core than what I'm doing now or what people talk about. But I did that back in the day, and guess what? I took to it. Some people struggle, they hate it. Oh my God, I can't not have this sugary treat or that. And that was the hard part for me back in the day. But I plowed through it. Now it's easy. So the point is, I've dabbled on and off with keto. Our buddy Larry, who's directing my favorite season that we're working on, he's been on and off it. And when he's been on it, he's had great results. And so that's real inspiring. But basically, I committed hard. Today is the end of 4 weeks. Since I've been on it, since I've been back. The first week I was back, I had to adjust. Ate all the things that you want to eat.
The stuff you missed.
But my girlfriend Susie has been the champion. She's officially the keto manager because she's so excited about it, and she took it upon herself to help me order from because it's great what you can get delivered, but it's also a challenge. Like I have one of them in my phone, but she's got everything. She's Chinese, so I have a fridge full of meats and chicken and fish and, cheese, which is great. And see, I love olive oil. I love cheese. On keto, that's 2 thumbs up. Ooh, hang on. That's the door.
Doorbell break.
All right.
What is that?
I might even leave it in the show.
Leave it in the show. What is it?
Leave it in the show. That is my Those are my coffee pods.
Here, let me. So you're still recording?
Yeah, we're gonna. I didn't stop recording. Yeah,
you
we'll
stopped
leave that in. It's a little slice of life, man.
So, Brendan, what just arrived at the door? Pray tell.
Well, Kevin, that is a fresh pack of my Dolce Gusto espresso pods.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I added a shot of espresso to you hand carried a cup of coffee, and I made it extra fancy. Made it extra fancy. So again, that's case in point. That's why I'm going to leave it in, because you can get anything delivered. And in this case, it was a few days ago, and now they showed up because it had to come from God knows where.
Right.
But so Susie helped me. I've got the fridge full of all the good foods, and it's so easy. And I love to cook, and I love olive oil, coconut oil, and so I'm down basically. Since I started 4 weeks ago here, I'm down 17 and a half pounds.
Yeah.
And I had actually, at my mom's 2 weeks before I came back, I ait all the things. So I
well,
know
when you're at your mom's, you gotta eat.
But I could not believe I weighed a week after that before I came back, and that's where I know my start point. And I'm like, oh my God, I could not believe I gotten so fat. And so,
how fat were you, Brendan?
When I weighed at Larry's the morning before I came back here in the morning, I was 296, which is crazy. Because I was walking around thinking I was 250. Oh, I'm 250, and I've always been kind of around 250. No, I'm a little heavy. I'm 260. No. Because I realized that my mom's, I must have been like 305 at my mom's. That's insane. It's insane. And I have a fairly sturdy, I still have a decent amount of muscle mass, and I've kind of got a
sturdy
thick frame.
Yeah.
So I don't just look like, I don't look like the Michelin Man. I don't think normally,
no.
When I'm heavy, but come on. The difference is notable. And what people say, and you said, is you can really see it in my face.
Yeah. When I came
I
in
lose
here,
it from the scalp the and I'm losing more on the scalp too. The sunroof's opening up on the back of my head. That's really irritating.
Well, that's happening to a few of us. But when I walked in, it was like, hey, there's Brendan, but like less of him than there was before. Same guy, same handsome chap, but just a little smaller, right? Still the same height.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, you're rocking. My wife, when she saw a photo of you recently on WeChat, she was like, wow, is that Brendan? And I didn't feel jealous at all. I can understand why she appreciated it.
I do him too, yeah.
That was actually at the...
from the thing. It's the photo from the awards thing.
Exactly.
I had the hair all slicked back. And
you were suited and booted.
Freshly shaved.
Yeah.
The sides. I still got like the little goatee thing going.
Yeah.
But so that's...
It was a good look.
Thank you. So 2020 is the keto journey. And I'm planning to not break it. I'm not going to break it.
Can you just do an arbitrary number related thing?
Yeah.
Put a decimal point after the second 2. Can you get to 202 pounds by the end of 2020?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I'm on track.
That could be like your
and you slowed it, because this is actually literally no exercise. This is only diet, and I'm also doing intermittent fasting where I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So
the no exercise
it's
thing
totally
really
possible.
appeals to me.
No, I want to. Yeah, we can all do that. I'm doing that already. I'm doing it right now. I want to get down to about 185. So I've got a lot to go, but I can hit that in a year.
I want to get back to 180. I had been doing well for a while, like a year ago, in terms of, it wasn't keto, but it was my own thing. And I dropped 20 pounds. And then just, gained it back slowly. Not all of it, but half of it.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, Susie's been wonderful as a partner, your keto manager. Your life partners can be a force for good or for evil, and you can encourage or discourage each other. So lately, like, Wen's wonderful, but part of that wonderfulness has been, hey, I really feel like some fried chicken tonight. And I was like, okay, I probably won't have any, but then I do. And then she also ordered a beer just for me, along with the fried chicken. How can I not have the beer?
Sure,
so then I'm having a beer at 10 p.m. with fried chicken. Well, So, and the results of that are evident. But like you said, you don't beat yourself up about that stuff. You allow yourself, if you slip or cheat on your eating, it's fine. But just make sure that you don't completely lose all bearings and all anchoring of where you are.
That's the tricky part. And so I'm committing to you, dear listener. No, I am all year. I'm going to stay keto all 2020. No cheat day, because it's why.
Yeah.
Because if you're on this, you burn fat while you sleep.
Yeah.
Your body's using that stored fat if you didn't eat a giant meal before bed, which you shouldn't do in any diet, but it's burning that stored fat while you sleep.
And counterintuitively, to those of us who are ignorant of the details of keto and ketosis, you're burning fat while you're taking in a lot of fat,
exactly.
but it's good fat.
It's got to be the good fat. Yeah. It's in the good fat here is like olive oil, coconut oil, butter, like real butter, things like that. You could have heavy cream. You don't want to have milk. Yeah. I don't like milk anyway, and I don't even use it now in my coffee just because you can't get really good heavy cream here easily, even at the expat stores. I mean, you would know where to find it. It's tough. It's not like you can't just get it at 7-Eleven,
So what are the don'ts that you miss the most in terms of eating? The things you give up that you really miss the most? I don't want to throw you off the wagon here by asking.
No, I can roll with it. I would say, I mean, look, I love Coca-Cola, and I don't drink Diet Coke, and diet beverages are kind of almost as bad as the regular ones in all ways, especially even on keto, because it still messes with this trick in your body, apparently. The ketosis, for some people, it could kick you out of ketosis, although it's a Diet Coke. And I just don't, I think they taste nasty, even though they've improved it a lot. It still tastes nasty. But so, I like vanilla Coke. Like when I go back to LA, I'm going to go to Bob's Big Boy. And this time I'm going to have like the chicken dish and some vegetables. And I'll still be at Bob's and I'll enjoy being at Bob's. And I'll have like an unsweetened Long Island iced tea, which will be a first. But normally I would have the normal or not Long Island iced tea.
Wait, do Long Island iced tea?
Arnold Palmer. That's what I'm trying to say. The half lemonade, half tea.
Think about that.
I'll do the
They've really improved their menu.
They've really stepped it up again a notch. Well, all those studio lunches, people have to cruise. I'm just going to Bob's, and meanwhile they have the 12 shots of alcohol. No, the basically the sugar-free Arnold Palmer. But I will miss the vanilla Coke. But and like Belgian waffle. But at Bob's, I've all these places that used to be my thing. When I find a cafe that did like a in the U.S. or a Western breakfast, best waffle I've ever had is Bob's Big Boy. Bob's Big Boy in Burbank is the best waffle I've ever had. Nothing compares. They know how to do it. And so I'm going to miss not having a waffle in 2020. But that's
Did you ever go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles?
Oh, Roscoe's is amazing. Roscoe's is right. I mean, I give Roscoe's. It's right there. And I mean,
very non-keto, right?
With the chicken part, you can actually
take the skin off.
If you don't overdo it, you can have up to like roughly they say 25 grams of carbs a day is like that's where you start to risk knocking out. For some people, it's 50. So I could have a big fat piece of fried chicken if I wanted to. And
depends on your metabolism overall as a factor.
Exactly. And so I like being in it. I feel better. Some people they have the keto flu, like they drag for the first week or two.
I heard about that.
I don't know. I'm good to go. Because fried eggs, any kind of meat, cheese. I mean, what God did I please? This is, this is the diet. This is the Brendan Davis diet. If I could slide in a vanilla Coke and a Belgian waffle and not screw it up, this would be for life. But I'm rocking that. And then in terms of personal stuff, looking for this surgery and I have this problem in my esophagus where the bottom of it squeezes down to like basically a pinhole, and on all of ours close some, but most people's open up when the food comes down. Mine sometimes doesn't. And I choked at your house on Thanksgiving, and it was nothing to do with the food. But yeah, it's really a drag. And the good news is I'm not going to choke where I'm going to die because it's lower than where your windpipe breaks off.
So you're not.
So but you have to, like, your saliva backs up, so you still have to like get rid of that liquid.
You have to expel.
You still have to excuse me every 3 minutes to go get rid of basically spit. And
is it stress related also? I know it's a physiological thing, of course.
I'm certain that stress doesn't help. I'm relatively good with managing the stress thanks to meditation, and other just practice.
Well, you're under a lot of stress. I mean, I don't.
Now I feel stressed.
The territory that we swim in, right? I mean, there's an excruciating amount of pressure and uncertainty.
It is actually. So I'm looking forward to, because I don't have insurance, and so looking forward to getting that once we get movie money. Part of my payday from this movie is like first thing I'm doing is I'm getting that surgery before we go, and it's balloon dilation. They scope a balloon,
and then puff it up,
and they just and they inflate it, and they hold it, and they move it around a little bit, and they kind of wiggle around, and that lasts about 2 to 4 years for most people. They also have more permanent things where they can put like a wire mesh cylinder in there, basically a stent. And there's one other thing that they can do. That's a little more invasive, right? That is a little more, and then they have a thing where they cut off the bottom part that's kind of all just gunked up, and then I don't want to do that. I don't want to. They kind of pull off the bottom piece. I don't want to.
So how much does a little puffy balloon thingy cost?
Well, when I did it when I had my awesome movie insurance back in LA, and so I paid like $50, but I think it's like 8 to 12 grand depending on various factors.
So that comes out to what a day? If it lasts, let's say 3 years,
yeah,
you're looking at that's like $1,000. So it's like $12 a day, right?
Something like. Well, you know what? The thing was when I first had it done. And I went to first time, I'm like, you know what? Okay, so I went to take myself out. I got a nice steak someplace. And I took that first bite and it hit the back of my throat and it was like, doop, just like plopped in my stomach. It's like, I didn't even, it's like, and then I'm like, well, that was weird. And I had another bite and bloop, just bam, like hit my stomach. Like I almost heard it rattling in my stomach. I'm like, and I was like, is this how everybody, I was so pissed. I was like, wait, does the rest of the world, people eat and it just drops into your stomach?
You sound like David Letterman when he was like dropping watermelons off the top of Radio City to see what would happen.
I felt
it's like, hey, it goes right in there.
It was about that satisfying too, to watch the watermelon explode from the top of 30 Rock. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's so keto and getting that surgery knocked out. And business wise, of course, we won't jinx ourselves with predictions, but
we've done that before.
Yeah, we have. We're going to get to that in a minute. Is what we were wrong about last year when we did this. But all seriousness, it's things are looking good. And again, their other projects are also chugging along, and so it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I've got about a 2-month window to live. And to get something happen. It's
2 months
in the freelance world. That's like
forever.
That's like a long. I can't even see 2 months right now.
Yeah,
I do see what's crazy. So pop quiz. Guess when my must-travel visa date is, where I have to at least do an exit. And it's January 24th is my must-travel visa date. Guess what else starts January 24th?
January 24th. What starts January 24th? Oh, God, I'm trying to think of something funny to say.
You know what the answer is, though?
The rest of your life.
Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year. Yes, that's right, because I'm going to Taipei with the family next week, actually.
Yeah.
And we'll be there until the end of January, so we can get Chinese New Year in with the family, the in-laws. My in-laws wins, blood.
Yeah.
So
I don't have. The good news is I don't have to wait, but the bad news is I'm gotta take a trip. I may be taking like a long one way out to go, do stuff. So like last night, I was
where to go?
I was on Google Flights, like looking at comparing things. Yeah. I may fly to Seoul for lunch again and come back or something.
Yeah, you do that, right?
Sometimes, usually when it's last minute, like or just something happens.
Have a bowl of sundubu and then back on the plane.
I don't know if that's keto.
Well, my advice to Brendan has been, because Brendan would do this quite frequently back when I first met him, is take these trips where he basically
had breakfast in Hong Kong,
did a U-turn in the airport and came back to spend a 24-hour period, get out of the airport. Don't sleep at all. Don't have to worry about putting your stuff in a hotel. Just do the town for 24 hours and then back on the plane and sleep on the way back. So I don't know if you're working that strategy in at all, but
I might. What's funny? My birthday is January 5th. That's this Sunday.
Oh,
and
that's right. You told me about that.
Yeah. You got to come. We're gonna do like
we have
little
invitation
dinner thing. Yes, please. No, it's no host, unfortunately. So bring your wallet, but you don't have to pay for everybody. But we're gonna go to Jeff Powell, Chef Jeff, who's famous, and he was on Big Fish in the Middle Kingdom.
He's a legend in this region and elsewhere.
He is. Yeah, he was sous chef at Stars, the famous Stars restaurant in San Francisco, and he's got a long story in China, but he has, among things, he's reopened his, used to be Frost, and now it's called That One Place. Where are we going? Oh, we're going to That One Place.
That One Place.
It's a great little thing. And it's so good. We ate there the other day.
Is this where you had the single malts?
It is. And Susie had a little bit too much. I mean, she handled it totally well. She didn't feel well later because she's small. She had the same amount I did.
Really?
Yeah, because Jess
and she's not the same size you are.
No, not exactly. I'm like 2.5 times her size. So, and I, adult child of alcoholics on my dad's side, I can handle. I mean, I could drink
a
ridiculous amount if I wanted to. So
I can drink a poisonous amount of alcohol.
Oh, it's sad. My old Chinese company, they loved it whenever they would have like let's show face and let's drink with this big boss guy we're meeting, and here's our Laowai. They push me forward. Thanks, guys. 26 shots of Baijiu later.
Take a bullet for the team.
I'm fine, except I'm like, ugh. You know. But yeah, so I'm looking forward. What are you looking forward to in 2020 is the question to you. For me, I'm looking forward to business stuff, keto, rocking along, and getting that surgery done so I can quit sweating it when I eat like a challenging.
That's a good
type of
bucket
meat.
list for 2020, man.
It's good for me, man. What about you? What are you?
Oh, let's see. Well, I'm really looking forward to, on the personal project level, finishing up a couple things that I've been working on for a while. My next children's book, I want to get that in the can this spring. Also this spring, this sci-fi graphic novel that I've been working on with a friend of mine, Nicholas.
That's really cool.
Thank you. You
showed
took
me
up
the deck.
a look at the
early feedback loop.
The early roughs. We're going to do the official submission sample for publishers and get that sent in. Also, spring is our time frame we're looking at for that. So I'd like to get those in the can, and then also have some of the work for hire projects that I've got my line on.
Yeah.
There's an animation project, some other things. Have those actually come through. That requires, we're looking for funding for stuff we're doing, but
Right.
I'm involved with projects where I'll be hired
Yeah.
to work on it as a director or a producer
when they
get the
find their
fund-
funding.
exactly.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's all
always the
part of
dance.
the same bag. So hopefully at least one of those will come through. And then the big feature that we've been working on,
Right.
Wen has been crunching hard. She's the director and co-writer on that. I've been involved as a producer, as a creative producer, and then I'll be a producer once we get finance. But we're hoping to actually get financing that we can live with.
Yeah.
That was the one where we turned down an acquisition deal.
You're right. It wasn't quite where it needed to be.
And I wasn't the one who turned it down. Wen was the one. I promised her, because I tend to be the finicky foreigner.
Sure.
Like, I don't like that. Where's the clause that ensures this? Or,
Right.
I said, you know what? I'm not going to be the one who walks away from this. If you are comfortable with it,
you'll
we'll
go with
it. And she was the one who said, "I'm not comfortable with this." And I said, "Good, because I'm not either."
Yeah, I mean, it's been. If people haven't heard before, his wife Wen is a notable director as well as producer partner.
Yeah, she worked with me
Kevin.
at Disney, and has, she comes from the indie film background herself, from animation, and has done live action stuff. So we're creative partners as well as just life partners. But hopefully those things gain more traction than we had this past year. And then just for my kids, I hope they continue to grow and be happy.
Yeah.
It's been great to put new. When I was a kid, and this isn't a slight against my dad, but my dad really wanted me to wrestle. So it was like, "You're wrestling," and I hated wrestling, but I did it because my dad wanted me to. And he was a great wrestler, but my career in wrestling didn't work out.
Ever seen a grown man naked, Billy?
Yeah, exactly. Fortunately, I didn't have any of that going on, but yeah, it was just something I didn't like. So I promised myself when I had kids, I wouldn't force them to do any particular thing, but I would want them to do something.
Yeah.
So we've been putting different activities, artistic, cultural, physical, in front of the kids.
Yeah.
And just some of those are just at home, but others
I'm seeing Claire's ice skating. She's really on it now.
Ice skating. She's done dancing. She did soccer. She's got a gymnastics class starting next.
And her modeling career is coming
modeling
along.
career,
You got some photogenic kids, man.
Thank you.
Put them to work.
I can't take any credit for a little bit of credit, but I give most of that to my wife.
Yeah, Wen's beautiful.
Yeah, and they've been really enjoying all of that. So we're not pushing them. We're not throwing too many things at once, like one or two activities at a given time.
That's good. That's good.
I see the confidence.
Yeah.
And just the enjoyment.
Yeah.
That's really gratifying. So we want to continue to do that and also have time not to just send them there and pick them up, but to be there and watch them and be supportive, etc. So, and then I hope that the world becomes a little more sane.
Yeah.
In general, in 2020.
Keep going. That gets into our that's our next topic.
My hope would be that people start to see with 2020 vision,
Hey.
as opposed to having their heads in their butts, as many seem to. I'm not too hopeful that will actually happen. I think things are going to get even worse, at least in the U.S.
I'm afraid that's probably the case.
It's going to be a rough year with the
Regardless of how
impeachment
things
stuff
shake
going
out,
on, the election. It's going to be ugly,
Yeah.
butt ugly.
Well, there's already an online civil war people talk about. There's already one online, and that filters into day-to-day life,
So I don't know, and there's about as many people dying from mass shootings in the U.S. as would die maybe during an actual civil war.
It's pretty unbelievable, honestly.
It's really crazy. I hope for a little more sanity there, especially because there's an off chance that I might be returning to the U.S. in the fall of 2020.
Right.
The irons in the fire.
Possibilities.
One of the irons is in the U.S., actually a couple. So if those take, we may relocate back there. And I hope, there's so many great things about being in the U.S. and things I look forward to, but there's also this just crazy climate right now that is not the U.S. I remember when I left. I'll put it that way.
Exactly.
Not that things were perfect by any stretch, but I thought things were bad then, like in 2008. It's just gotten worse.
It's really wild because we talk about this a bit, and Kevin and I are on the same page again regarding the
politics,
regarding Orange Julius Caesar currently in the White House. So
That'd be a great drink, by the way.
It
Orange
would be,
Julius
maybe,
Caesar.
yeah.
It might taste terrible.
It might taste terrible.
Have bad aftertaste.
It'd be like a screwdriver with Diet Coke in it. I think that's his
probably
drink.
just tastes like piss.
Nice. So in terms of changes and challenges, that's obviously a big one because we're worried about things stabilizing. The U.S.-China relationship is it's
on the rocks.
He ain't making it better.
No.
And there's, I've mentioned a few times before, in some sort, he's either a visionary or discredited economist, Martin Armstrong, but he has this thing of the cycle theory. And like 20 odd years ago, he came up with a model that he's constantly revising, and it's called Socrates. You can actually, he leases this to business as consulting stuff. And it's kind of like scary accurate. It's not like your horoscope in the newspaper, which you could apply anyone to anybody if you think hard enough. It's crazy accurate, predicting stock market crashes, rises and falls, political turmoil in certain regions, and why, because he's tracking economics and commodities and environment stuff. It's really bananas. And basically, we're entering a war cycle. So according to Armstrong, like 2022 is when the shit really hits the fan, and it's upheaval and turmoil to like 2024, and then we enter like a long peace and prosperity. Like the good news is that whoever's left standing.
This sounds like Revelation, actually.
Honestly, it's got a little bit of that vibe, but he's like, I think
like
he's
a biblical.
I think he's kind of atheistic, so he's not coming.
No,
from
I know
like
he's
a biblical type place.
Smart ass.
But
it does sound like Revelation.
It's pretty crazy though, and he's it's been scary accurate. And So
I see that. I mean, the war cycle thing, I saw a recent piece of news about the new hypersonic nuclear system that Russia has.
Oh, yeah, it splits off with like 10 warheads that go different places, and you can't track it.
You can't track them fast enough to use whatever anti-missile system you may have. Of course, the U.S. military was saying, we've looked at this. This isn't really anything to worry about. But things are just heading in a very kind of everybody's like thumping their chest and rattling their sabers, and that's never good, right? And at the same time that you're cutting the historically, chest thumping and saber rattling, all well and good. But as long as you're still doing business together, right? Then there's a chance that saner heads will prevail.
Right.
When you're thumping your chest and rattling your saber, but also pulling back on the business front. So we've got the trade war with the U.S. and China.
Exactly.
We've got Brexit, all this stuff. That's super bad, right? Because you're getting a critical mass of like disengagement and bubble thinking and so forth,
right.
And that's never a good recipe,
right? And this model, because this addresses several things that are on our question list here. It's looking at like economic trends, political trends, and so rising nationalism, rising authoritarianism, rising tribalism, and of course we've been seeing that now for several years. Yeah. But I mean, like, it's super obvious now. But that is accelerating, and there's going to be a peak. Apparently, peak 2022 is like peak badness of that. Yeah. And then
what will that mean?
That's I haven't. I'm not going to get my crystal ball out, but according to this, I mean, it's sort of on the timeline that just if you read, like I sample news from around the world, so I'm not just in one reality tunnel on this. And if you sample the news around the world and see what people are apparently thinking and feeling and expressing, it's like, yeah, you can see this. You can see that this has got a little bit longer to play out. The results of Brexit. Yeah. That's terrible twos of Brexit in 2022, because it's happening. I mean, Brexit's happening. I mean, let's see, Parliament's going to Parliament, but it's going to be about 2 years into Brexit roughly. And so
I'll make this observation. I remember when Brexit first was going forward, and there were a lot of people like, I didn't vote. I didn't realize this was actually going to go this way, or that it was a real thing. And now I didn't have a chance to express my true opinion on this. And then they had basically
they had a do-over kind of.
A do-over in a way.
They had a check-in,
in terms of like, is Johnson going to remain? Boris Johnson going to remain?
And then it was just smashed in the side of Brexit.
So it's sort of like, okay, well, I mean, I still think it's a stupid idea, Brexit, and there's a lot of uncertainty that hasn't been addressed, issues that haven't been resolved, but apparently it's what people want. So it's like, all right, there's, I forgot who said it, people get the rulers they deserve.
Somebody smart said that. I forget who that was.
I think we're seeing that in spades. And I don't know if you want to transition from this into some predictions based on
Yeah,
a revisit of the ones that we had for 2019.
Well, yeah, let's
did?
do that. I think,
and then maybe some stuff going forward in
I'm
2020.
trying to remember. Yeah, let's do that because time wise, Lee's going to knock on the door any minute because we have Out China Works in 25 minutes.
Just stacking up the podcast.
Stacking them up
here.
today. Yeah,
I remember one.
Yeah.
People could fact check me on this. You guys never talked about that, but let's pretend we did. I think we did, about Trump and like whether or not he would be impeached in 2019.
We definitely talked about it off mic. I'm not sure if
maybe it was an off mic conversation, but I remember thinking that he would not be, even though I feel he deserved to be. I thought, no, that won't happen. And then, hey, it did, at least in the House.
Yeah.
So there's that. We were also predicting. I was predicting I would leave China.
Right.
And I didn't.
Right.
I'm still here.
Yeah, because I remember, it was looking, for various reasons.
It was like, part of it was health. Like, there was, family was showing some minor, but still, obvious health related things. And it's like, and also Claire's school, they had this situation where the administration changed and the curriculum changed actually. Fewer foreign teachers, fewer English curriculum. It's like, do we want to stay for this or not? And then at the last minute, they rolled that over for one more year.
Exactly.
So there were a lot of sort of like ninth inning changes. Like, okay, I guess it's not, the tipping point hasn't been reached yet. So yeah, I predicted we'd be gone, and here we are. But that's kind of every year I've been here.
Yeah,
I've had that prediction. I'm out of here next year, and then I'm still here.
There you go. Well, there you go. Well, for me, I think I'm not positive what we said on the mic or not, without going back and listening to all that stuff. But I do remember I remember those conversations a lot between us, and I know some of that was on the mic. And in terms of I know I was, predicting that we would have wrapped the movie in Paris right now. I would have gone to the 49ers game with Larry. Right. I would have been there for this amazing game this last Sunday.
And through no fault of your own, as you mentioned earlier in the show, financing independent films is tough, right?
Yeah, it is not easy, but I think that,
and there are a lot of crazy factors that they're almost kind of cool. I mean, it's not cool that you don't get the money.
Yeah,
but when you look at really the factors, it's like, wow,
yeah.
Whoever thought I would be in the mix of this crazy.
That was my thing. And we won't go down the rabbit hole on it, but the first one falling apart was because of some major geopolitical drama related to the country where the financiers are and the U.S. And it's like, and so I remember sitting here. It was related to oil, and I remember basically this one tanker had to land safely in a certain place, and then that money anyway. So I remember sitting here and having this moment. I'm looking at this map that somebody sent me that tracks all the ships out there in the ocean, and I remember staring at this. And they're anonymized enough that you don't know which one's which unless you have the right permissions. But I remember sitting there looking. It's like, okay, I'm from basically small town southern U.S., and now I'm sitting in Beijing, China, watching an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman that the fate of my future rests on this successfully getting to port, because it's right when there was the attacks, quote unquote, the false flag to try to get into war with Iran before that got put on pause.
And the cool thing about this, I say from an objective point of view, is that for those of you who are independent producers or involved in independent content creation and financing will understand this. There's a game, I don't know if they still make it, called Mousetrap. You have this crazy Rube Goldberg contraption that you have to set up and then kick off in order to catch this mouse on the other end. And that's what being an independent producer is like. Like, so for somebody like Brendan, who's dealing not only with the creative, but also the logistics of trying to get the financing, this to go to there, to do that, and then the tanker and the thing, and it goes in the account, blah, blah, blah. And then we have the money, and then we can make the film.
Exactly.
It's like playing Mousetrap, but like with much higher stakes.
Totally. And because it's all monopoly money until you can actually, my thing is when a thing is finally financed, like the deal's signed, the money's moved, I treat myself. I go to a really nice place. I get a steak. I get like a great glass of scotch.
It's real,
and I eat it. I'm consuming. It's a ritual thing where it's
become real.
Part of my body. It's like, okay, this is real, and so I'm looking forward to that. What is your New Year's Eve message to the world as we sit here New Year's Eve day?
Oh,
nice clear day for a change.
My New Year's Eve message to the world. I think I'll actually jump back to something I said earlier. I hope that 2020 is a time that people look with 2020 vision and really open their eyes, avoid, whether you're liberal, conservative, Chinese, American, whatever, just avoid thinking about things the way that you normally do. Understand that there are different points of view. Try to get out of your bubble and really look at things without judging, and then, take a breath. And I say this for myself more than anybody, and make your decisions as sensibly and as empathetically as possible. That's my wish for 2020 for all of us.
I don't want to be lazy, but I'm going to co-sign that as mine. I was reminded the other day. I ended up talking about Robert Anton Wilson's model agnosticism, which is, there are all these models of the world. Everybody has their own model or version of the world in their head, and he was asked by someone kind of earlier when he first started putting some of his crazier thoughts out, because he would have like super crazy thoughts and speculative science and then wrap it in established science. And so the crazy speculative parts, you go, oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
But he was like this fiction writer writing where a lot of it seemed super true. And then there were the things that he made up, but they were made up like amazingly intelligently. And someone basically said, well, what do you actually believe? And he said, I don't believe anything. He said, I practice model agnosticism. What's that? It means have your model, have your reality tunnel, but then make it a point to take some time, go down, as horrible as it may be, go down the rabbit hole of the opposite of your positions, understand where those people are coming from at least, and then do that with all the spectrum of different things. And so what does it do? Empathy. Helps to create empathy for a fellow human person.
And we badly need that. And I know we didn't really get to 2020 predictions, but I'll say this. I know we're going to be going down the rabbit hole one way or another.
Yeah.
So hopefully we all come out of that rabbit hole, relatively intact, and we see each other on the other side.
Well, if you beat me there, save some carrots for me, all right?
Definitely, man.
All right, buddy. Thanks,
Cheers.
Kev.
All right. See you, buddy.